Lovely to see you. Thank you for your time. So you've got a saying here, changing lives through art. So do you want to explain what it is that Vincents does?
So that's our most recent mission statement, and our senior art tutor, Andrew, came up with that mission statement. And as soon as he suggested it to the staff team, we all thought it was the best mission statement we'd ever had, because that's the whole point about Vincents Art Workshop. Vincents was set up in 1985 in response to mental health institutions sending people into the community for so-called community care, but there wasn't much community care happening. And there was a group of artists around about that time who had been doing some art programs in Porirua Hospital, and they got to know a woman called Pam Whittington, who was a counsellor with the Inner City Ministry, and they wanted to keep doing art, but they didn't have any money for art materials or studio space or a place to do it, and they didn't want to go to an established art school. They just wanted to carry on doing art the way they were doing it. And so Pam Whittington and a woman called Helen Walsh from the Inner City Ministry established Vincents Art Workshop for a year. They umbrellaed it for a year, and then Vincents became its own legal entity. And I've been with Vincents for 27 years now, and I could write volumes of books about how being creatively self-expressive has changed people's lives around. I think, for me, I see creative self-expression as a communication form, and for some people it's a more accessible communication form than written words or speech. There was one man who started coming here some years ago, and he'd grown up in supported accommodation, Kimberley. He had developmental disabilities, and when he first started coming into Vincents, he only spoke very briefly in one word at a time, but he loved to paint, and we just set him up with paintbrushes and paint, and he would just paint mostly stunningly colourful, beautiful stripes. But through that, his painting developed and got, more design in it. And at the end of the year, he was speaking in full, complex sentences. His sense of humour had developed. He was constantly cracking jokes. And about the time this man first started coming in, I had a new senior art tutor, and I said, you watch this man. He's going to transform himself in front of your eyes. And sure enough, he did.
So it's a type of therapy in a way for people, and I think that art is therapeutic.
Why did cavemen paint on cave walls? It's something, it's a need. I think for me, it's about when you're being really true to yourself, about how you want to be self-expressive in a visual way. It's something that comes from a very deep, almost subconscious part of you, and then somehow you find a way of getting that into something outside you, and then the next bit of the communication, so it's from the inner part of you to the outer, more conscious part of you.
True, and I guess too with you here is you provide lots of different facilities for people to play or experiment.
Absolutely.
So what sort of things do Vincents offer?
There's not much we don't. We don't offer welding or glass blowing, but we offer ceramics, we offer collage, we offer painting and drawing, and we have lots of different painting materials like watercolour painting or oil paints or acrylic paints. We have a construction studio where people can work with machinery to make things out of wood or stone.
After they've done a health and safety briefing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what kind of people do you get here?
I always think that question is a bit like somebody asked me, what kind of people do you get in a library?
Okay.
So we're funded primarily for people with vulnerabilities or people with disabilities or developmental disabilities or physical disabilities. However, Vincents, and this is the magic bit for me, I think, is open to anyone. And that's what led to me just being invited to come in 27 years ago. And I'd been doing disability studies before that, so I was very, very conscious of how community puts people in silos, isolates people, like old people in the retirement village or people with disabilities in places just for people with disabilities.
Yeah.
And I think that's a waste of people when they're not included in their communities. I think all people have value, and that's something that so many people who come to Vincent's discover for the first time, because they might have had a history of not being valued, but all people are valued here.
Oh, I love that. So you've got a passion for arts and community. So if we wanted to help Vincent's, how could we do that?
Well, you could come in and buy a painting. You could become a friend of Vincent's. So we have a group of about 30 people who are contributing friends of Vincent's. They can pay a small amount once a week or something. We've got koha boxes. People can put in a koha. People can donate old paint that they don't want anymore, or art materials. There are so many ways.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to donate some art materials.
Perfect.
Thank you very much for your help.
Very welcome.
I'm here with you in one of the workshops at Vincent's. Do you want to tell me what sort of workshops you offer?
Sure. So we're standing in the tool workshop, which you can do sculpture, you can do work with wood or metal. We have a whole mosaics department as well. We also you can do bone and wood carving in here as well. In the rest of the studio, you can do painting, printmaking. We have a whole pottery studio out the back as well, which is really cool, and that's by far been our most popular space over the last few years.
I was admiring it before. How long have you been with Vincent's, and were you part of the shift to this new space?
I was, yes. Yeah, that was a big job. I've been working at Vincent's for 15 years.
Wow.
And I'm the senior tutor here. And I was different. The move to the new space was a really big job. The highlight of was the people that had the last building and were developing it got their tower crane and used it to offload some of our larger equipment onto the footpath so that we could transport it here, because we couldn't get it out the door. And they had to make a hole in the wall to get some of the equipment out as well.
Oh wow, that's incredible. You have to show us some of that equipment.
Yeah.
And so how many tutors have you got here?
So we have 4 permanent tutors, and we have a reliever as well. And so on a typical day we have 3 of us on the floor, and we also have a volunteer program as well. So we have lots of people approaching us wanting to offer their support.
And can you tell us a little bit about Dan and Beth's exhibition?
Sure. So that's opening next week on the 7th of October. And so Dan and Beth have both been coming to Vincent's for a number of years now. I think their artwork complements each other really well. They're both interested in creatures a lot, and so there's some quite amazing underwater photography that Dan's done, and he's done these amazing steampunk crabs.
Oh, cool.
Which are actual crab shells which have been modified. And Beth does some paintings, but also small polymer clay sculptures of sort of creatures and things. So there's some definite I think their work really bounces off each other really nicely. So.
Yeah, sounds amazing. I will definitely come along. Thank you very
Great.
much for your time.
You're welcome.